Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. South Africa's power infrastructure has been in the focus over the last few years, but the country is also facing some tough decisions regarding the future of its liquid fuels industry. Engineering News editor Terence Creamer is with me in our Johannesburg studio to take a look at the issue. Terence, welcome to Second Take. It appears a dispute has developed between the national oil company Petrosa and BP Africa about the advisability of building a new crude refinery at Coega. What is the story?
Yes, Petrosa has been studying for a few years now a 400,000 barrel a day oil refinery down at Coega in the Eastern Cape. So this is a really big development. It would be almost a super refinery, and it would be able to produce fuel at a very good quality. But it would be based on crude oil that would have to be brought in from other countries. Angola, Venezuela have been mentioned, and others. So it's a big development. It's got virtue in the sense that we need to improve our fuel quality, but it's also fairly stranded. I mean, it sits there in the Eastern Cape. There's no pipeline network to Gauteng where the fuel demand is. So they've been studying this project. It would be a very big development, about $11 billion. And it would be seen as replacing the sort of old refining capacity in the country, or blending in with the fuels that come in from those refineries to raise the fuel quality of those refineries, which have basically been static for some time. And we are more and more importing fuel. So the debate that is being raised now is this the best way to proceed? BP Africa says, this is a major decision for the country. And it's a decision that's going to have costs and benefits. And they're saying that the costs might not be totally out in the public domain. And I think they're saying we should probably have a thorough review of all the options, including expanding the existing refinery capacity that we have before we go ahead with this massive greenfield project.
The Coega project's not the only project in the mix. We also know that Sasol is planning a fourth coal-to-liquids plant. How does that project fit in?
Yes, so now we've got Mafuta up in Limpopo province. That's a coal-to-liquids project, as you say, so not taking crude oil and imports and converting it into white products, but rather taking coal and producing diesel and petrol from coal, as well as some chemical products. That is a far smaller incremental project. It's around 80,000 barrels a day versus that 400,000 barrel a day monster that they're talking about at Coega. So it is a more incremental project. But whether we've got sufficient demand in the country for both those refineries is a point that we do have to investigate. Plus, we've got imports coming in, and we've got capacity to transport that, more and more capacity coming in fact.
Let's turn to the Transnet pipeline. That will run from Durban to Gauteng. Does that suggest that certain choices have already been made?
In some ways, it's an oversized capacity. So Transnet wanted to build a 16-inch line. Government, after the stock outs of late 2005, there was a commission of inquiry into why petrol wasn't coming, diesel wasn't coming through to the heartland of Gauteng. And there was a feeling that we really need to boost security of supply and boost the pipeline. Government persuaded Transnet, who was a reluctant participant, to expand that pipeline to 24-inch. So that pipeline is being built at the moment. It has been delayed. Its costs have gone up to 15 billion rand, which initially it was around a 12 billion rand project. And it's been delayed by a full year, so it will only come in at the end of 2012. But when that pipeline does come in, the capacity it brings is about 1,000 meters cubed a day, an hour, which is a massive amount of capacity. And it would probably be sufficient to keep the Gauteng area wet for some time. So it does presuppose, that we are going to rely on imports more, or projects down in the Durban area. But Coega is looking at an alternative pipeline. Plan 1 probably would be very expensive to have a full pipeline up to Gauteng, or a pipeline linking into this multi-product pipeline that Transnet has built, or maybe even shipping the white product round to Durban and putting it into the terminal there, and then taking it up that route. So it's not a showstopper for the Coega refinery, but we have got this oversized pipeline capacity, which basically means if there's excess refining capacity in the world, which there seems to be at the moment, a lot of the argument is why don't we just import this better quality fuel into Gauteng from those super refineries of the Middle East and Asia. And it might be cheaper, more cost effective. But on the other hand, government has to make a decision. Do we want Africa just to be a crude oil territory where Angola's production, the West Coast production is really growing rapidly? Or do we want to be a beneficiator of that crude oil in some form, and should maybe South Africa be that hub for that development? And is it a good time to maybe pull the trigger on the Coker refinery, given that production and capital costs have come down in the oil industry given the recession? So we might get some cost benefit. So these are very tricky choices. But for me, it's not a real security of supply impediment as it is in electricity. You've got this pipeline. Yes, there's some delays, and they'll have to have some string and chewing gum solutions for those 2 years of 2011 and 2012, but it seems like there will be capacity. It's really a strategic decision about, do we want to beneficiate our own fuel? Should Africa have this very modern refining capacity? And financially, is this a good time to proceed?
Terence, thank you very much. That is the Second Take show for this week. Thank you for watching, and join us again next time.